Welcome you and thank you for attending tonight's program, Planting Values with JADE, a Tupashvat ethical will experience. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker this evening. Victoria Cherry is an educator for JADE, Jewish Association for Death Education, where she works to bring thoughtful, compassionate conversations around death, dying, and legacy into Jewish life. Through education, workshops, and community programming, her work helps individuals and families approach end of life planning with clarity, dignity, and intention. This work is deeply personal for Victoria. Walking alongside families and through her own experiences of loss has shaped her belief that how we prepare, speak, and leave words behind matters. Ethical wills have become one of the most meaningful tools she teaches, as they offer a way to pass on values, love, and wisdom that continue to guide those we leave behind. Victoria, I turn the screen over to you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Hello, everyone, and I am honored to present Jade to all of you, and I'm very grateful for all of you for being here and attending this webinar, and hopefully you will walk away inspired to leave your legacy behind with some great wisdom. So, before I begin talking about the ethical will, I want to quickly introduce you to Jade for those who don't know. I'm going to go ahead and share a screen and just walk you a little bit through the website that we offer for those who don't know. Okay. So as soon as you log on to our website, which is jadeinfo.org, you can see what we stand for is we're providing support before, during, and after the death of a loved one. And we do it through listening, educating, guiding, and providing a support. We're not here to teach necessarily halacha, though a lot of the information you will find on our website is based on halacha, but if you go into our Hanani tool, which is something that we are hold very dear to our hearts, Hanani actually offers, it stands for Here I Am, and it offers the different practices, Jewish death topics, and different practices that we should be educated on. And what I love the most about this tool, it's a very interactive tool. I'm going to pick one of the topics, Tahara, and what it offers you is to learn about each topic from 4 different perspectives, from a practical, from an emotional perspective, textual, or spiritual. So I'm the person who learns best through a spiritual perspective. Some might say it's an emotional, or whatever the case is, there is information for you in any way you enjoy learning. And there's also a deep understanding of every topic. So I encourage everyone to log on and look through it to get more educated on these topics. And another thing that we also definitely very proud of is the tributes that we have, where you can actually pay tribute to those who have passed and those that honor those that are still with us on this page. So we have the memorials, we have the honorees. So I think it's a great tool. Can you guys see what I'm scrolling? Everything. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay, fantastic. All right, awesome. So this is just a quick introduction to our website. Again, it's jadeinfo.org. I encourage you to log on at your own time. And I think that's the point, is that you're able to do it at your own time. We not always have the time to go and attend the lectures, but I think it's a great tool to have if you want to get a little bit more depth on these topics. Now, talking about ethical will, I can't help but really think about, I was thinking how I should start. And I guess starting with a little short story about my personal experience. Mark mentioned that I do this work, and alongside with my communities, I also been recently involved personally with this. My mother passed away in December, so it's been really a journey, and I just want to share a little something about that. So ethical wills aren't about money or possessions. They're really about the invisible things, as we know, the values, habits, and attitudes that quietly shape a life, and then continue shaping others. When I think about ethical will, I think about my mother who passed in December. My mother's story doesn't begin the way I usually tell it, but this is the part I want to highlight tonight. 9 months after we moved to United States of America, I was 16 at that time. My parents had, and I was the youngest out of three, my parents had a fourth child. After raising three daughters in a brand new country with a brand new language, no family support system, and no real safety net, she became a mother all over again. Most people would say this is too much. She said, let's do this. That moment captures her resilience better than anything else. She devoted herself fully to raising her children and only began working outside the home once my younger brother started school. Until then, her entire world was her family. She poured her energy, values, and love into building a home rooted in care, responsibility, and deep connection. Later in life, as she began working and expanding her world, she carried those same values with her: kindness, perseverance, humility, and faith. These are the gifts she left us, far beyond anything material. That is what an ethical will is about. And today I would like to gently guide you through simple tools to help you reflect, uncover, and express your own values, maybe life lessons or hopes. And this way you can begin writing your own ethical will. It's not about perfection or beautiful writing. It's about honesty, intention, and heart. So my hope is that by the end of this workshop, you will feel empowered to leave behind some deeply meaningful um, stories for your loved ones. We're gonna go ahead and start. If Justine, you can pull up the first slide. We're gonna walk through the slides. If you have any questions or comments, we are monitoring our chat. So if you wanna go ahead and write whatever you'd like to write in the chat, or you can raise your hand. For those who don't know, there is a button on the bottom that says react, and there's a on the bottom it says raise hand. So if you have a question you want to ask, please feel free to do so. Raise your hand and I will be happy to answer whatever questions. Thank you so much. All right, next slide, please. Welcome to our workshop. So what is an ethical will? It's a document that is used to pass on values from one generation to the next. Spiritual wealth as opposed to material wealth. Next slide, please. And that's from Rabbi Lori Klein. Rabbi Harold Kushner once said, done right, an ethical will is a gift of love, a way of saying, this is what I found gave me satisfaction and gave my life meaning. So that's from Rabbi Harold Kushner. Next slide, please. So what do we want to share, right? So what's important to share for our loved ones? We want to share our beliefs. We want to share our values. We want to share the worldview and some of the memories. We can do it through pictures, through images, or we can do it in writing. And we'll talk more a little bit about other ways that we can capture that. Next slide, please. All right, so ethical will content, we want to make sure that when we start writing it, we want to think about what do we want to really leave behind? What making lasting impressions? What impressions can we leave behind? How can we leave a mark on the world? I like this image. I think it relates to the second option of leaving a mark on the world. Like it's what footsteps kind of we're leaving behind and what people can think of us, leaving a portion of oneself. Next slide, please. So what we want to express in our ethical will, as I said before, the values, the beliefs, life lessons and experiences. We all can probably in the moment right now think of so many things that we've learned through life that we would be able to share with those we love that would hopefully, they say learn from others' mistakes. Often we want to learn from our own, but how wonderful would it be if we can share the things that we have gone through and how we persevered and be able to pass that on so our loved ones don't have to make the same mistakes. Our wisdom, our love, the history, we live right now in a time in the world where there's so much history happening right before our eyes. And I think it is so important for our loved ones to know how we've been feeling through it all, what we've been going through individually through it all, and share that aspect of it. Hope for the future, blessings, apology. I think that's another one that's so important sometimes. Why go on with life holding through life holding that grudge? Apology, I think it's a great way to letting it go. I heard someone say, I'm probably quoting someone, having living with a grudge is like allowing someone live in your home rent free, right? They bothering you always, they always nagging you, and they're just living there. So letting go of that and forgiveness, which goes hand in hand. Next slide, please. So, of course, ethical wills, there are some roots from a biblical perspective as well. One of my favorite ethical wills from biblical is Rambam's letter to his son. I think the way it was written was absolutely brilliant, simple, but with so much meaning and so much depth to it. I enjoy reading it whenever I have an opportunity. I try to do it once a week. Don't always make it happen, but I try to. I think it's a brilliant way of putting things. But some others are Isaac's attempt to give the blessing of the firstborn to Esau, and or Jacob's bedside blessings of his 12 sons, instructing them on how to live a virtuous life after his death. Or on Mount Nebo, facing his death, Moses blessed each tribe and delivers a farewell address, exhorting and instructing his people. So all these are the examples of ethical wills. So there is no black and white structure on how. Everyone through history has done it in their own way, and so can you. Next slide, please. So who is the ethical will for? I think that's one of the questions that is very important to ask yourselves before you start writing it. Who you want to write it for? Who are you trying to reach? In today's world, again, we have so many different platforms that would allow us to have it go viral. I'm sorry. I know you have your hand raised. I'll get back to you in a second if that's okay. So you want to think about who you want to leave it for. You want to leave it for your family, for your descendants, for your friends, students, for yourself, or someone you don't even know. And when we think about someone you don't even know, once, let's say you create a video or you create a document, and a stranger could benefit from it. We have families that don't have descendants, don't have children. Who would they leave it for? They could leave it to people that might might come across it and learn so much from it. I listened to videos of ethical will on YouTube, and some of those stories are brilliant. There's one from Zinner. I forgot her first name. She spoke 40 years ago. It was that video was created, and everything she talked about was so relevant to what's happening today. It was unbelievable. I apologize. You had a question. I would be happy to.
I was just wondering, how can we find the Rambam's ethical will?
We can send it out at the end of this webinar. We're gonna send out an email, so I will be happy to send that as well. Okay,
Great.
but if you actually Google it, you can find it too, but I will be happy to send that as well. Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay. So we're gonna do one exercise. I kind of wanna have this ball rolling a little bit. And I wanna do a quick exercise. We're gonna take about 3 minutes, and I want you guys to start thinking about what we talked about so far and try to answer either at least one of these questions or all three of them, whichever way. What has rooted me? We related these questions to the Tu B'Shvat that we celebrated a couple of weeks ago. And what Tu B'Shvat reminds me of every time is how much we're celebrating the trees, right? In February, like trees, how we're celebrating trees when it's so cold, it's freezing cold. They're all naked right now, most of them, unless it's an evergreen. Why are we celebrating the trees right now? But the point of it is there's so much depth to it. And the point is the roots are starting to wake up in the dirt, in the darkness, underneath. And that's how we blossom as well. It has to come from within us, from the inside. And I think that's then once we start watering and treating it the right way, our bodies, our souls, then we can blossom into beautiful trees with a beautiful fruit on it and benefit from it. So what has rooted me? What has grown from my life? And what do I want to plant for those who come after me? So we're going to give it about 3 minutes. I'm actually going to look for that letter, and I'm going to send the link on a chat. Justine, if you can let us know, please, when we can get back to it. I would love to hear some of the answers, if that's okay. If anyone would like to write some of their answers in a chat as well, that would be great. Okay. If anyone would like to share their thoughts, I'd love to hear. If you want to unmute yourself and share with us. So one of the answers, I assume you don't want me to say the name. One of the answers was, what do I want to plant for those who come after me? The importance of giving back to the community. That's a great one. Thank you. Wonderful. What has rooted me, I guess I'll say, what has rooted me, I think my upbringing and the way we were raised, even though I wasn't raised here, but we were raised in a very, very tight family, close family knit. But the part that I often share with my children is the fact that the luxuries we have here of simply taking shower, like having water 24/7. I lived in a place where we had to carry the water to come home and take a bath or whatever. And it was, it humbles you to and makes you appreciate and not take for granted the little things that you live with today. So that's one of the things that I can think of. Just wanted to share. Anyone else would like to share their thoughts?
Yeah, I'd like to share.
Please.
My parents were very much involved in the Jewish community and were very philanthropic, and they've given that to me. But also the whole idea that you do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, not because you're going to be worshipped in heaven or all that stuff. None of that selfishness. You do it because it's the right thing to do, not because you're going to get some gain because of it. And I think that that's been a part of my value system as a social worker, as a school social worker, and as a active member of the community.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Michael, for sharing. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. We can go on. Next slide, please. All right. So what we want to think about also is what advice and guidance you want to leave behind, right? Providing guidance, moral compass, address morality, very important today, clarity, clarify life's meaning, communicate what matters most, and personally contributing to the future. There's one thing that Holly Blue, who is one of our colleagues, always says: anytime you write an ethical will, you have to think of three things. Keep three things in mind. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? And I think the importance of keeping that in mind, it will give you a better guidance whether or not, because you don't want, whether or not you want to mention whatever you have in mind, because you don't want people to read it or come across your ethical will and you are talking about the child that was super difficult while he was growing up or she was growing up, or complaining about the conditions you were living or anything like that. You want it to be, as long as it's true, kind, and as long as it's necessary. I think it's important to keep that in mind. Next slide, please. So the theoretical approach to an ethical will, it's something that Michael mentioned kind of before. So there's different frameworks around that. So as far as the ontology, we follow the rules. That's all you got to do is follow the rules. So some people live the life just following the rules, right? Adhere to obligations and duties. Then there is approach of With my accent, it's really hard for me to pronounce that little one. It's a greatest good, promotes actions that increases happiness and pleasure. So people live this way, and you want to relate that in your ethical will because you want people to understand the way you were living, right? The virtue, what is good, moral character. I think that's, Michael, probably what you were talking about. And the consequence, what's going to happen afterwards. We don't want to think about that, like you said. We want to really live in the moment and do what's right, do what's important. But again, there's no right or wrong. It's just different views and different frameworks. Next slide, please. So let's say, again, there is no black and white on how to do it. There is no manual to it. This is just a guide, but it is for you to start thinking about it and start figuring out how you would like to relate your ethical will and how you would like to share it. There's a shul that actually has people writing a letter to themselves every single year before Rosh Hashanah. They write a letter, and then the rabbi mails that letter the next year to their house, and they do it all over again. So guess what? That's a form of an ethical will. What would you write to yourself in a letter, right? You reflect on the year you had, and you kind of set yourself up with hopes of what could happen in the next year, with plans, with hopes that what could happen next year. So how great is that? You know, that's a form of an ethical will. Collect those letters. My ethical will, which I started as soon as I found out about the ethical will, that was a year ago. I have a folder on my computer that I just write stories that I feel like could be useful to my future generations. And I just write stories. It's very not edited or anything, just my thoughts for now. And then eventually I will be able to put it in a form that I want. And we'll talk about different forms that we can put it in. So frequency of sharing, you could share it just once. You could share it weekly on Shabbat. You can share it occasionally, annually, or longer time frame, only after death. You can leave it and say, you know, you read it after I'm gone. So it's completely, again, up to you. Next slide, please. So format, what format? We can do it in a letter, right? Letter or a Shabbat note. Series of short stories, that's what I have. A longer story, there is a story actually on our website by Rick Light. It's called Sebastian. It's a great story. So that's a form of an ethical will. An oral, you just talk about it. Pictures, recorded audio, or video, just something maybe on YouTube you can put or anywhere else. Next slide, please. When you can share it on your birthdays, holidays, Pesach, Rosh Hashanah, Thanksgiving, Shabbat. We have a tradition in my home. Every week when we sit down for Shabbat meal, we usually share what was the highlight of the week. And it's really, it gets everyone interacting with one another, whether we have company over or not. But I think it's a really good way to reflect on the week you had and move forward with some thoughts and ideas. Next slide, please. Okay, so how would you create one, right? You can do it on paper, you can do it on electronic media. Mark says nobody uses CDs, but we just kept it there just in case. Home computer, hard drive, external drive, online, Google Drive, YouTube. There's so many ways you can actually create one and leave behind. Next slide, please. So Rabbi Stuart Kelman said, legacies are what we bequeath or subsequent generations that are based on our past accomplishments. An ethical will, or tsava, is in contrast, is future oriented. So that was legacy letters or ethical will. Next slide, please. So the next few slides are actually our resources and guides also. So sample opening of an ethical will, there's some liners that you can start it with, because sometimes that's where we get stuck, is how do I start? How do I begin? So some of the important lessons that I have learned in my life, or this is how I feel as I look back over my life. But it's technically all about the reflecting on your journey, reflecting on all the lessons you've learned, and maybe sharing some ways that you maybe could have done it better, or maybe it was a successful decision, and how you came about making that decision and things like that. Next slide, please. All right, so challenges of writing an ethical will. So the writer's block, right? How do you start? Again, we do have some resources where you can start, but I think it's all about really making a commitment of doing it. And what works for me doesn't mean that it works for everyone. I have to put it on the calendar. Like my family knows, I tell them, if it's not on my calendar, it's not going to happen probably. So I put it on the calendar, and usually I commit to what's on my calendar. So that's one way. Challenging relationships. So a lot of times if people are dealing whether it's a spouse or your children or anything, like, it prevents you from really reflecting on your own life and your own legacy. So with that, like, again, remove yourself from your house and maybe go to cafeteria, put some headphones with a nice music or whatever works for you. Again, it's just a guide. It's not, there is no laws around it, obviously. So it's just a guide on ways of doing it. Or figure out who you're writing for. That's another good one, because once you know who is going to be the recipient, it kind of opens up the door of what you want to share. So those are the ways, those are the challenges that you may have. Next slide, please. Rabbi Jack Reamer said, I have learned that an ethical will can do harm as well as good. If it becomes a desire to control instead of to teach, it can cripple the recipient and destroy his capacity to live a good life. Again, as I mentioned before, as long as you keep in mind those three things, is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? I think it's an important guide for you to make sure that we don't want it to be harmful to anyone. We want it to have as much of a good impact as possible. Next slide, please. When do you update it? If ever, you can never update it. You can do it annually, random. That's my way of doing it. I just randomly throw in things in my file. Setting a reminder to update, again, that's completely up to you. Next slide, please. So the next steps, this is now up to you. First thing I always suggest, start reflecting, start thinking about what are the things that you really want to talk about in your ethical will. Think about 3 generations later. What would you want them to know about who you are? And start reflecting on your life. I usually suggest when I do a workshop, think about every decade of your life and the lessons you learned in each decade, and figure out whether I jot down things, thoughts, and then I develop them and try to figure out if it's something that I want to put in there or not. So that's another way. So reflection, discussion, really trying to figure out whether or not you want it included in your will or not, and completion, which is also a challenge sometimes. Next slide, please. So the next pages, there's 4 resources that will be emailed to you as well. And all this is again, the one-liners on how you can start it. Like, these are some of my favorite possessions that I want you to have, and these are the stories that explain what makes these things so precious to me. Or I would like to ask you forgiveness for, and I forgive you for, whatever it is. Next slide, please. Then there's a sample outline, opening line, the family, my parents, siblings, and antecedents, events that help shape our family, things like that. Next slide, please. All this, you guys, so the entire slide deck is on our website, but this, Justine is gonna email after the workshop as well. It's printable, you can print it at any time. Then there's ethical will questions. Again, these questions will allow you to guide you to writing it in your own way. For example, what words would you be proud to hear someone else use to describe you, right? Or how did those values become important to you? So you give an example. So you talk on a value and you give examples on how it became important to you. Next slide, please. And there are spiritual questions. Again, you can choose whichever route you want to take. Where do you get stuck creatively, emotionally, intellectually, and how do you get moving again? Or what is legacy and how do we achieve it? Like, what does it really mean to you? I think these are the deeper questions that will open up the doors for you to really describe who you are. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are some of the resources that we have on our website as well, books and webinars and things like that. Next slide, please. Okay, so that's what the ethical will is about. I hope you guys learned something. I do want to ask you, if you have a second, it's really quick and easy. If you can scan this barcode and leave us survey, complete a survey. It's going to take you less than a minute, and it only helps us to do better next time. I'm open to any feedback, and please give me constructive any feedback to improve the work that we do. And if there's any topics that any one of you would want us to explore a little bit more, please feel free to reach out as well. And if Justine, would you mind putting, actually, I'm gonna put my email and my phone number in comments. Please feel free to reach out to me at any point. Does anybody have any questions, any comments?
Yeah, if you don't mind, many times before I have to do a funeral, while people are still alive, we talk about who's going to do the eulogy for them, and I usually ask the person, "Why don't you write your own eulogy, and that way you'll know what they're going to say about you?" And I would say at least 75% of the time that when they write it, they come to me and they go, "I would like to be that person, but I'm not." And sometimes they have enough time to change their lives. And they learn a lot. And so it's kind of like the ethical will, in that while you're writing something down, a lot of times it's because that's who you want to be, not who you are. And maybe you can live a different kind of life for the rest of your life and live into that. So it's a very beneficial thing for everybody when you do that. So I really applaud this effort. It's really good.
Thank you, Rabbi Perlman. I have to say, I started working with JADE a little bit over a year ago, learning about Jewish death practices. And through learning about death and dying practices, it really taught me to live more of a meaningful life. Because you really come to a realization when you start reflecting on your life and the decisions and everything, which a lot of us don't even give ourselves that time in a day to really think about it. But once you do, you really recognize the areas where you can improve
And
and
want to, and
and
want
want to
to.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the part that always impresses me when they
And
realize that.
yeah,
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. And ethical will is not something. I'm in my 40s. It's not something that we have to wait till we're in middle age or older. We can start writing it as a teenager too. It's really a reflection on your life and your decisions. And you know, before it used to be the journals that we used to keep, but do you really want everyone to read the journal that you're writing in? Probably not. So this is a different way, the things that you actually would want others to know, and things that you would want to share with others. So I think it's a lot more meaningful.
I agree.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Any questions, comments? Yeah, please. You're on mute, dear.
You're on mute.
So the reason why I got interested in an ethical will, I had never heard of it before, is I started I decided that I was going to read all the canonized versions the in the Tanakh. And so there um we have Shmuel, who writes an ethical will to his children, and it made me think, whoa, that's interesting. And then we have King David, who gives a verbal ethical will, like it reads like the mafia. This one was good to me, be good to him. This one was bad to me, make sure he gets punished. So I just thought that was interesting that we have this in our history.
Yeah,
And Rambam and yeah.
absolutely. I agree. I agree. Yeah. I don't think the reason why I'm very inspired by once I learned it. I mean, I do actually videos. For those who are willing, I interview them and I create an ethical will with videos for them. And it's been such an amazing journey. You ask questions and you see how they start reflecting on things, and some of the questions they can't answer on the spot, and I have to get back to it, and we do it over, because some of the questions are really make you think and make you reflect on the decisions you've made in life and where they led you to. So it's fascinating to watch others to once they learn how they react to it.
Just wondering, have you ever seen at the grave, at the grave site, people who have like ethical, I don't know if it's wills, but just they talk about their lives that you press a button and you can listen to? Yeah.
I haven't seen it myself, but I know that it exists. Yes. So the barcode that I had, the QR code that I had earlier for the survey, that same QR code they usually put also on a stone, some people. And yeah, you can literally scan it and watch it on your phone. But I've heard what you're talking about. I've heard of that as well. I haven't seen it personally, but I have heard of it. Yes. Yeah, we get very creative as the time goes, right? With all the technology that's now available to us. Thank God. All right. Anyone else? Any other comments, questions?
Okay. Can everyone hear me? I think I am having internet connection problems. Can you hear me?
We can hear you perfectly.
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Great. Thank you. So hi, everyone. My name is Beth Inglezos, and I am the Executive Director of the Jewish Community Foundation of Greater Mercer. I wanted to thank all of you for joining us tonight, and I wanted to thank especially Victoria for presenting this wonderful and inspiring program. This is the second time I've attended Victoria's Ethical Wills program. And one of my favorite takeaways is help me with it again. It's if make sure it's true.
True,
It's what was
kind, necessary.
necessary. Thank you. Um, and it has really been a privilege to collaborate with both the Federation and JADE. As I think Victoria mentioned, the recording will be available and we will email that out. I believe we will also send out the survey. And we will also, through the foundation, be planning additional legacy related events through our Life and Legacy program. So please be on the lookout for more information in the coming months on that. And of course, we encourage you to visit the foundation website, the Federation website, and the JADE website, and also follow us on social media. We all have many resources. And again, thank you for joining us and have a great night.